Well, I want to thank all of you for your work and your diligence on this committee. I know I say that for myself and all the other applicants. Thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure to speak with all of you during this process. I was able to speak with many of you and some of you again since I applied before. And many of you know I'm not really comfortable talking about myself. But I know it's part of the process, so I will do that. I really think my background personally and professionally, it's will add an additional layer and experience to the Court of Appeals. And it's amazing the opportunities I've been able to take advantage of really makes me the person I am today. My personal background I've shared with many of you, but I can't say it enough. I'm really proud to be a West Ender and from that part of town in Davenport. The work ethic in that area and the family values, that's really the backbone of that area of town. And that's really the basis from where I come from. And reflecting back, a lot of the challenges I've had personally and professionally, a lot of people would say those are challenges, but I've really have seen those as opportunities to grow and succeed, fortunately for myself. And many of us have those moments. I mean, that's why all of us are so unique, and it creates the layers that really make us who we are. As a young man, I knew I wanted to do something with a purpose, and I had that drive. As the oldest sibling of our 4 siblings in my family, I saw my parents struggle oftentimes to meet our basic needs. I knew at that time I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something that hopefully I'd have a brighter future for myself and potentially my family. And I'm fortunate to have that family today. At that time, I had really no idea that those choices I made would lead me to where I am today. Those choices included being the first one to go to college. I was blessed to go to St. Ambrose College at that time. My father passed away, unfortunately, after my first semester, and it made me available to help my mother with my siblings during that time, and it was the best choice for me. And I could have easily just stayed at the Rock Island Arsenal and continued to work there as an accountant, because that's where my degree was, but I took a leap of faith and pursued my interest in the law, and I couldn't have been happier with that choice. I was fortunate to be accepted at the University of Iowa College of Law, and I didn't know it then, but that was surely the building blocks for myself as a judge. And I really envisioned myself, as I shared with many of you, to be a corporate lawyer or a transactional lawyer, given my accounting background and my interests, but someone saw a different course for me, and I'm so glad that they did, because my years as a general practice attorney for 22 years, it couldn't have prepared me better for what I do today. And I enjoy every moment of it. And when I was practicing for those 22 years, I represented individuals in criminal matters, family law matters, juvenile proceedings, and I should back up. The criminal matters, I did indigent defense, so I was a contract attorney providing those services to those individuals. The juvenile proceedings, I did both delinquency and children in need of assistance. Probate, real estate matters, transactional, corporate, and civil matters. So I was busy, and I enjoyed all of it. And I recognized the importance of the work I did and the impact that it had on my clients' lives. And I had many success stories. I've had criminal defendants that I represented as an attorney and that I presided over as a judge have actually come up to me and told me how well they're doing today. And that's been a great experience. That varied and hectic practice I maintained served me well as a district court judge. And I still appreciate the struggles of the attorneys and the bench as I do my job. And I know the decisions I make are made with a purpose to resolving the issues for those people before me, and it has an impact on their lives. It's exactly this experience as a practicing attorney and district court judge that I believe will make me effective as a judge on the Court of Appeals. And if I am fortunate enough to be on the Court of Appeals, I intend to continue my involvement with the community and the judicial branch. As you can see from my application, I'm not happy with just doing my job. I want to do things to enhance the branch. I've served on various committees and task forces, both locally and statewide. Additionally, doing presentations for the bar, the bench, and within the community. I think those activities enhance the transparency and the legitimacy of the branch. I'm proud to be a judge here in the state of Iowa, and I take every opportunity to show that. And being involved in those activities really shows my ability to collaborate with other individuals, which I know is very key to the Court of Appeals. And I believe my existing relationships with many of the judges on the Court of Appeals will make that transition a little easier for me. I know they'll give me good guidance if I'm appointed to the Court of Appeals to the inner workings of the court and how to be effective as a judge, as one of their colleagues. And although I know we have to work collaboratively, I won't lose my independent thinking. And if I'm really passionate about an issue, it may be a special concurrence, or if it's really important to me and I do not agree with the majority, of course I'll enter a dissent. But that doesn't happen very often in the Court of Appeals. And the fact that I do and learn something new every day as a judge makes my job exciting. And I can see that continuing with the Court of Appeals, and I welcome that opportunity. And I would welcome that opportunity to be the next judge on the Iowa Court of Appeals, and I know I can utilize all my professional and personal experiences to enhance the court and make a difference with a purpose. And I thank you for your consideration of my application, and I welcome any questions that you might have for me.
Thank you. We'll start questioning with Commissioner Chase.
Thank you for your application. We had a chance to talk prior to today, and you shared with me why you did not apply the last couple of times, and I appreciated your answer. I thought it demonstrated to me the commitment that you have to your district. Can you share that explanation and why it was important to you to remain as a district court judge at that time?
You bet. It was a tough decision. I had applied 3 previous times. The first time I did not apply, I had just become the acting chief judge of our district. Our chief judge at that time was suffering from a very severe liver disease, and I really felt an obligation to my district to remain there to provide guidance to them. The next time, unfortunately, my father-in-law was gravely ill and died within about 4 weeks after that time was to apply. I needed to be there. My wife was helping her mother, and they were in the process of moving to a new home near ours. At that same time, I needed to be there. And this last time, I was just appointed chief. And as I told some of you, I don't think Justice Christensen would have looked too favorably upon me after being appointed and then applying to this position. So those were the reasons.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Boyer.
Thank you, Judge Latham, for your application. I have a note here that I didn't have a follow-up question for you when you told me the first time, so I guess you get it now. But I have a note here that you were looking for continual growth and state representation. So how do you feel that you can bring that into this Court of Appeals?
I do think I can, being from the 7th, and just, as I said in my opening remarks, I believe that my background and how I grew up, I have some compassion and ability to look at things maybe a little bit different than others. I'm not saying that their way of looking at things is wrong, but I think just having those experiences, have that. I'm really looking for the growth within the branch as well for myself.
Thank you.
Commissioner Markward?
So one of the characteristics that's come up when I've talked to people about you is kindness. And then one of the things that we've talked about today with various applicants is empathy. Why do you think kindness and empathy would be important characteristics for a Court of Appeals judge?
I think it's very important when you're looking at the briefings and particularly the transcripts of the proceedings to understand where those litigants may be coming from in their case and the facts surrounding the issues that are before the court. I live by a motto of kind and professional, and I say that often. I believe that a lot of us should hold those close to in making the legal profession even better. I think if we conducted ourselves that way, the legal profession would grow leaps and bounds, in my opinion. So much more could be done more quickly and efficiently, and that's how I choose to run my life, and that's how I treat everyone I run into, is kind and professionally. Even though they may not reciprocate initially, I have found if I keep it up, it often comes my way that way.
Commissioner DeFord?
Thank you, Judge Latham. I enjoyed our conversation earlier. I have no further questions at this time. So,
Thank you.
Commissioner Parrish?
Well, I've had the honor of appearing in front of you in Davenport and get to the 7th District every now and then, but a couple of things. I want to commend you on your leadership in providing counsel for the indigent defendants in your district, that you've taken a leadership role in the state on that. And second of all, a letter received obviously from one of the court personnel who talked about how you're willing to undertake a task at all time, no matter what that task might be. A couple of things I'd like you to comment on. What is it about you that led you to take that type of role to make sure that poor people had counsel in cases? And second of all, could you address what you'd like the commission to hear about what I call the geographical imbalance of the court, or the geographical balance of the court, what you would bring to the court if you were nominated?
You bet. Thank you, Mr. Parrish, and you were very kind to send me a letter when I made a statement about indigent defense, and it was a tough task to take on. It's important. As many of you may know, the people that appear in our criminal courts, many of them cannot afford their own private counsel. It's probably 80% or even maybe 90%. I need to look at that a little bit closer, but probably even closer to 90% receive court-appointed representation. And we have to provide that to them. Their liberties are at risk. And oftentimes it could have even a larger impact on their lives, because if they were convicted of an offense that maybe they're innocent of, and the ramifications could be terrible for them. Employment, getting a job, having a felony record, maybe not receiving benefits like they could otherwise receive. And without that counsel, maybe they did not have the ability to negotiate a plea agreement that would limit those that impact on their life. I'm one of those individuals that I don't say no very often. And when we were in crisis mode in the Scott County, I stepped up and said, I'll just take this on. I'll try to manage the contract attorneys the best we can so that we don't overburden them and still provide that representation. As far as the geographical, you make a good point. There hasn't been anybody from the 7th Judicial District on the Court of Appeals, but it should be the best one that is appointed. But I do believe that if someone from the 7th was fortunate enough to be appointed to the Court of Appeals, what I think that would do would enhance the court in this respect, is that you can see, I've done a lot of community outreach, and I could see that individual from the 7th being that point person for the eastern side of the state as far as a contact for the court, and being a representative to the bar and the communities within the eastern side of the state. So I think that would be a benefit to the court and enhance the branch as a whole as well. As a chief, and even before that, I've always thought larger, not just my little area of the state, but the entire branch. What can we do to make it better?
Thank you.
Commissioner Graber?
Thank you, Judge Latham, for your application, and thank you for being here. I've heard you mention a couple times, I've written a couple of them down, like an effective judge, a good judge, the best judge. If you were going to look at all those things, and they're fairly subjective, but at the end of the day, how can you tell that you're doing a good job? You're an effective judge, you're a good judge. How do you know that?
I believe that I know that of myself because I'm always engaged in a case that's before me, or with the attorneys, with the litigants, always paying attention. And sometimes I'll even mention, even during a jury trial, that I have my, particularly during a jury trial, I'll have my computer there, but it's really because my court reporter is providing me real time, so I can see what the evidence is that's coming in through testimony. And I explained to the jurors that really makes me even a more effective judge because I can review the record and make a better decision as to objections or matters that come up during the course of the trial. So that's just another example of how being engaged during the trial. So I think that's really the biggest thing is, and as far as the Court of Appeals then, reviewing those transcripts and the record and the evidence fully and thoroughly, and reviewing the briefs and the case law that's submitted by the attorneys in those cases.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Schnur?
Judge Latham, it's nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
A couple of things came to mind, and I think I have this right. I think you said an active real estate practice when you were in practice?
I did.
And
Very
I think
active.
that's unique, might be a unique area. I don't think we have many real estate lawyers or judges with much real estate knowledge on the Court of Appeals. But talk a little bit about how that experience in your past, as well as your experience as the chief judge of the district, not just the district judge, but the chief judge of the district, how that would impact you on the Court of Appeals and your role on the Court of Appeals.
Well, we talked about my real estate practice, and it was busy. During the heyday of real estate refinances and such, we were very fortunate in my firm to represent many lenders, and we would just sit there all day and close refi transactions every half hour of the day, and then review abstracts at night to get prepared for the rest of the week. So I would be able, with the Court of Appeals, I'm ready for that hectic pace of all of the opinions that need to be written. And it is unique. You know, real estate, there's not many of us that emphasize that, so that would be true. I would be able to bring that. As far as being chief judge, I'm always thinking. I'm thinking of what's happening next in my district. What do we have to do next to improve it, maintain it, and all of those administrative decisions weigh heavily, but I welcome it. I asked for it, I guess.
Thank you.
And our time is up.
Oh.
So we
All right.
appreciate your application, Judge, and wish you all the best.
All right, thank you. Have a good
Thank
afternoon.
you.